Radio.
Welcome back. We're going to get right back to your calls. We are off to Nevada. Corey, welcome to the program.
Hey, Kevin. I have a question about fuel economy.
Okay.
I'm going to be making the switch and becoming an owner-operator in the next year, so I'm changing my driving habits and trying to prepare for that.
Good.
And I'm just trying to figure out if the same steps in increasing your gas mileage, you know, with the rolling hills and everything, still applies when you're driving an automated manual.
Depends on which automated manual. Do you know, or
right now it's a Volvo with I don't know why, but it's a Volvo with a Cummins engine. So I guess it's an ISX.
Yeah, so it doesn't have the Volvo I-Shift transmission then, right? It must have an E.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's got the E. When I buy my own, it will be a Volvo with the I-Shift for sure. Because I mean, those you can get E without even trying.
Exactly. When everything's working right, I agree. It's a great combination. This combination, what year is it?
It's 16.
And which Eaton is it? Which transmission?
You got me there. I haven't gotten that many details about the company truck.
Got it. Okay. These transmissions are getting better and smarter all the time. When I go back to my first automated manual that I spec'd in a truck in '01, we were told back then that transmission could shift better than a driver for fuel economy. And I believed it because it was certainly possible. We have to remember, computers are good at certain things and humans are good at very different things. Computers can do things in microseconds.
In 600 feet, turn right on Mary Grubbs Highway, KY 14 and N. Take the entrance to the left in 750 feet.
And they do it consistently, the same exact way every time. But they can't think.
They can't anticipate, yeah.
Exactly, and they can't react. You're exactly right. So it's absolutely possible that we will build a transmission that gets better fuel economy than a human ever could. Because those are the kind of things computers are good at. But we failed on the first round. And so, you know, I used to say, no, let the transmission shift itself. That's the whole point. Until we tested it. And we found out, no, a good driver can beat the automated manual. That's not so true in today's world. These transmissions are very sophisticated. They are monitoring multiple data points every millisecond and adjusting for it, and they're talking to the engine. That's why the Volvo engine with the Volvo I-Shift transmission works so well. That's why you couldn't get the I-Shift on the Cummins, because it did not.
In 700 feet, take the entrance to the left on I-75 North.
Talk to that engine right. So they're getting much better. I'm still a believer, though, that we use a tool like the Scan Gauge KR, and that's how we tested the transmissions to know which did shift better and which didn't. On the Scan Gauge KR and the early automated manuals, I could beat them every time. And we could prove it, and I did prove it over and over and over by running a certain stretch of road, you know, so many miles with the automated manual shifting and monitoring the fuel gauge instantly on the Scan Gauge KR. Then we'd come back and run the exact same route and road again, same day, same everything.
In 1 mile, keep to the right on I-71 South.
Well, maybe wind changes a little bit, but consistently I could beat the fuel economy going through the gears and going through rolling hills. In today's world, with a Volvo engine and a Volvo I-Shift, no way. It'll beat the human driver just about every time.
Yeah. Okay. So, how do I put this? This is a Canadian truck, therefore it's governed.
Okay.
And I
in a half mile, keep to the right on I-71 South.
That tends to be a problem when I'm running stateside. I mean, obviously, I'm governed at 65 miles an hour, and I'm on an interstate with an 80 mile an hour speed limit. I try to keep it at 60 now that I'm trying to think about fuel economy.
In 0.2 miles, keep to the right on I-71 South.
But with the governing too, the rolling hills, it's almost pointless to even try, because it's gonna bring my speed down. It's not gonna allow me to gain enough speed to crest the next hill, and it's almost like a losing battle.
Somewhat. I kind of agree with you. The speed limiters have never been an issue for me. The state speed limits have never bothered me because
Way station ahead.
I ignored them and drove 57 miles an hour everywhere I went. So
Right.
they're just never an issue for me. I don't even think about it. But I also used gravity to my advantage, because even though I drove 57, I was in a vehicle that would do 100 if I wanted to. So I was able to use the downward momentum, and that at that point, I kind of like these crazy high speed limits, 80 miles an hour in Idaho, because hell, I could go down the hill way faster than I really want to, and I'm still not even breaking the speed limit. Yeah, I have no fear of getting a ticket, and I'm able to get the absolute best fuel economy by using that momentum. So when you have your own truck,
Continue on this road for 67 miles.
you're not going to be limited like that.
Well, I will, because I have to be from
Oh,
Canada.
that's right,
Unless
Canada.
Unless
I'm sorry,
I
I
can put
forgot.
a switch on my dash. Unless I can put a switch on my dash to turn it off.
You can. There are workarounds on that, but you're right, you will be limited somewhat. But again, in the big picture, that limit may affect your overall fuel economy by a tenth or two. Because again, 90% of our time in the United States from coast to coast, we're on flat ground.
Yeah.
So so rolling hills are only about 10 or 15% of our miles anyway, and we can still do rolling hills pretty well. Not perfect, but we can do them pretty well even with that limitation. So here's the thing I know. You're on the right track. You're asking good questions. You're trying things. You're way ahead of the curve on this. So I'm pretty convinced by the time you get your own truck, you're going to have most of this stuff dialed in, and you are going to be getting 8.5 or 9.
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. That means a lot coming from you. Appreciate it.
All right. That's the kind of stuff I'd love to see. Most of the time I see people become owner-operators on a whim. Very little planning, very little change in the way they do things. Here's somebody who understands being a good owner-operator is a different skill set than being a good driver. And he gets that. So he's already working to change his skill set. I've been helping people become owner-operators for a couple decades now. I've been helping people save their businesses as owner-operators for a couple decades. One of the things I've learned, I'm pretty good at picking out the winners and the losers. And yeah, I'm going to use the word losers. People fail. We could call that a loss. It's never a complete failure unless you give up. So don't be offended by the word losers. We have winners and losers. We need to get back to that. Not everybody gets a trophy. We know that's killing our country in so many ways. Not everybody gets a trophy. There are winners and losers in sports. There are winners and losers in business. And if that offends you, maybe you shouldn't be in business. But I've helped people save their business. I'm pretty good at picking who can do it and who probably won't do it this time. Maybe they're not in the right place, maybe they haven't learned the right lessons, but I can easily listen to somebody, and I can make pretty good predictions about who's going to succeed. This last caller will be a success as an owner-operator. Let's get to a break. We will be back with more of your calls and questions right after this. Stick around. You're on the Road Dogs, Sirius XM 146. I'm Kevin Rutherford.
And now for a Road Dog Radio Check. What's going on, y'all? This is Casey Phillips coming to you live from Nashville, Tennessee. Crashville, the Big Nasty, Nash Vegas, whatever you want to call it.
This is Tim Ridley from The Tim Ridley Show.
Checking in from the sandy beaches of the Mississippi Gulf Coast.
Hey, this is Claire Marie.